Alright, today we're going to talk about something a little different. We're going to talk about regret. Specifically, the 7 guns that I genuinely wish I had never bought. Now, some of these firearms I was actually excited about when they first came out. Others, I had a feeling might be a letdown. But every single one of them, in one way or another, left me feeling completely disappointed. So today, we're going through my personal Hall of Shame, a list of guns that might just save you from making the same expensive mistakes I did. Let's get into it. Number 7. The Kel-tec PR-5.7. Kicking off our list is a gun that only annoyed me a little bit, but annoyed me nonetheless. The Kel-tec PR-5.7. When this pistol was announced at SHOT Show, the hype was deafening. And I have to admit, I was completely baffled. I saw a lot of smart people getting really excited about this thing, so I had to get one and see what I was missing. Turns out, I wasn't missing anything. The P-57 is, in fact, just another Kel-tec. It's a clever idea that is wrapped in a package that is wildly inconvenient. It's a semi-automatic pistol chambered in 5.7 with a 21-round capacity. Now, I like the concept of a 5.7 carry gun. The round is lightweight, the capacity can be high, and the recoil is incredibly soft. But that's where the good parts of this story end. First, the aesthetics. This gun looks like it was assembled from spare parts found in the plumbing aisle of a Home Depot. Second, and this was supposed to be the innovative part, it doesn't use magazines. It uses top-loading stripper clips, just like your great-grandpappy's rifle from World War I. There's a reason we moved on from that technology. It sucks. The process of loading this gun is annoying, slow, and a complete step backward. On top of that, the sights are molded into the slide and are non-adjustable, and the trigger is a long, heavy double action only, which kills your rate of fire and makes it very easy to induce a malfunction by short-stroking the trigger. I just don't see the niche that this firearm is supposed to fill. It's a cool and quirky range toy, I guess, but I absolutely wish I hadn't spent my money on it. Number 6. The Benelli M4 Generation 2. Now, I need to preface this by saying that the Benelli M4 is my favorite shotgun of all time. Period. I love this platform, but it is a design from the early 2000s, and it has some shortcomings by modern standards. So, for years, I was hoping Benelli would release an updated version. And they finally did, sort of. But the so-called Generation 2 was a massive disappointment. Don't get me wrong, the underlying gun is still the same reliable, durable, and battle-proven M4. But there is absolutely no reason to buy this new version, especially if you already own an original. The main upgrade is a new proprietary rail system on the handguard. Instead of using the industry-standard M-lock, Benelli created their own system that requires you to buy special Picatinny rail sections directly from them. And to make matters worse, the gun only ships with one of these rail sections. And for the longest time, you couldn't even buy more. So you couldn't even mount a light and a vertical grip at the same time. It is an absolutely baffling and user-hostile design choice. I wish I had never bought this gun, because I could have just spent a fraction of the money to put an aftermarket M-lock rail on my original M4 and had a far more capable shotgun. This was a lazy, cynical cash grab from Benelli, and a huge letdown for fans of the platform. Number 5. The Beretta 92 XI SAO Corsa. At number 5, we have a pistol that is absolutely beautiful, and that's about it. This is the Beretta 92 XI SAO Corsa. Now, I have a complicated relationship with the Beretta 92 platform. I used to love it, but instead of developing a truly new and modern handgun, Beretta has spent the last decade releasing 50 different flavors of the 92. The Corsa is a really pretty version of a gun that I still can't shoot very well. Now, the guns on the first part of this list aren't necessarily bad. They're just guns I personally regret buying. The Corsa comes with a compensator that, for whatever reason I don't feel, does a very good job of mitigating recoil. In fact, I think the all-steel frame Berettas have less recoil than this aluminum frame version with a comp. Part of the problem is that the grip has absolutely zero texture on it. So even with the comp, the gun just slides around in your hand while you're shooting. The trigger looks great, but in my opinion, it is no better than the standard single-action trigger on a $400 military surplus Beretta M9. But my biggest personal issue with this gun, and all of Beretta's single-action-only 92 variants, is the safety. They have these huge, sharp ledges that dig into my hand and beat my knuckles up every single time I shoot them, to the point where I just don't want to shoot them at all. This is supposed to be Beretta's high-speed, competition-ready race gun. But for the money, you can get a dozen other pistols that are faster, more accurate, and have far better features. I kept this one because it looks pretty on my wall, but I would have much rather had something else. Number 4. The Henry Big Boy X. Now we're starting to get into the guns that genuinely pissed me off. At number 4, we have the Henry Big Boy X. This is a very cool concept. It's a lever-action rifle chambered in .357 Magnum with a threaded barrel for a suppressor and modern polymer furniture with M-lock slots for mounting accessories. On paper, it's a fantastic idea for a modern home defense or truck gun lever action. But in practice, this rifle has been a huge disappointment. First, the reliability has been spotty. It ran fine for the first few hundred rounds, but over the course of our review, the feeding issues got worse and worse. But what really irritates me is the finish. The coating that Henry uses on these rifles is absolutely terrible. It is so prone to rust that every single Henry rifle I've owned has developed rust on the receiver if I don't keep it constantly slathered in oil. For a $1,500 rifle, that is completely unacceptable. Modern durable coatings exist. There is no excuse for this. A friend of mine who works at a local gun store told me that they have to wipe down every single Henry rifle in their inventory once a week, or they will start to rust on the shelf. That is a sign of a serious systemic quality control problem. With so many other great modern lever-action rifles on the market today, from companies like Marlin and Smith & Wesson, I just don't see any reason to buy a Henry. Number 3. The Walther WMP Gen 2. The disappointment I felt with this handgun was profound. The original Walther WMP, a polymer frame pistol chambered in .22 Magnum, was one of my favorite guns of 2022. It was smooth, reliable, and a ton of fun to shoot. So, I was incredibly excited when they announced the Gen 2. But this gun is a perfect example of a company overcomplicating a design and ruining it in the process. The grip still feels great, and the .22 Magnum is an interesting and capable rimfire cartridge. But that's where the positives end. The rear sight on our gun was so loose that I could literally move it with my thumb, which made it impossible to hold a consistent zero. We also had a number of reliability problems, especially with cheaper ammunition. But the biggest issue is the controls. In an attempt to make the gun fully ambidextrous, Walther put 4 magazine releases and 2 slide releases on this gun, and in doing so, they made all of them terrible. The slide releases are basically non-functional, and with 4 different levers that can drop your magazine located all around the trigger guard, it is incredibly easy to accidentally dump your mag while you're shooting. It is a needlessly complicated and dumb design. It feels like they spent all of their time adding useless features and none of their time making sure the gun was actually reliable and well built. This was a huge letdown, and I would avoid this pistol at all costs. Number 2. The Jennings Bryco 38. Now we enter the true hall of shame. If you ever find a gun in a ditch or in a police evidence locker, there's a good chance it's a Jennings. This is the quintessential junk gun. We bought this for a video, and now I can't get rid of the damn thing because nobody, and I mean nobody, wants it. The Jennings 380 is a pistol that is notorious for being a complete piece of garbage. As of filming this, we found one of these online for $50, and trust me, it is not worth even that. It features a heel magazine release, a technology that should have died in World War I. It has the worst sights in the history of firearms, and it is so unreliable that it is more likely to jam than it is to fire. These guns, and others from the ring of fire manufacturers, were made from cheap, pot metal alloys. They are prone to catastrophic failures, and they are genuinely unsafe to shoot. Every time I look at this pistol, I get angry. It is a menacingly disgusting object. I would take every single other gun on this list over this one, 10 times out of 10. Number 1. The Sig P320. And that brings us to number 1. And it's not just one pistol, it's a collection. It is all 5 of the Sig P320 pistols that I had to buy for our recent drop test. Congratulations to me. I now own 8 different versions of the P320, a pistol I do not want, I do not like, and I cannot, in good conscience, sell to anybody. The Sig P320 is a polymer-framed, striker-fired pistol that has been the subject of intense controversy for years. Sig claims it's safe. A mountain of evidence and countless lawsuits suggest otherwise. But even before the drop-safe issues, I never liked this platform. It has a high-bore axis, which leads to more muzzle flip. The ergonomics feel blocky and uncomfortable in my hand, and the entire fire control unit concept, while interesting, feels like a solution in search of a problem. The reason the P320 is at number 1 on this list of regrets is simple math. I may have 1 Jennings, but I have 8 of these things. That is 8 times the regret. One of them was a brand new P320 Legion that I had to buy in the middle of all the drop-safe controversy. The feeling of handing over my money for that pistol was pure, unfiltered dying inside. Those guns now sit in my vault, a permanent monument to my bad decisions. Would I rather have a Jennings than a P320 in a real fight? Probably not. But I only have 1 Jennings. So there you have it, 7 firearms, and a whole lot of buyer's remorse. Let me know down in the comments the one gun that you wish you had never ever bought. And if you appreciate this kind of honest, no-holds-barred review, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, stay safe and don't buy junk.